You're
Josh,
fine.
welcome to Millionaire University. Thanks for being here today.
Of
I
course.
am
Thank you
so
for having
excited
me.
to hear, your journey as a business owner and sharing with our audience the things they need to know to replicate your success exactly, right? Because
Okay.
that's all that they need to hear is just steps 1 through 5 and away you go.
Yep. Absolutely. Easy as that.
Yep, it's so simple if everybody was just only doing it.
Yep.
Okay, so a little bit of backstory. We'll kind of jump into this. Your journey from shoveling snow as a kid to owning a painter's touch is pretty cool, fascinating. So, can you walk
Thank you.
us through how you got started in the painting business specifically?
Yeah, well, in the painting business, I was actually working offshore, watching for like whales and dolphins and sea turtles. I was working like 5 weeks on, 5 weeks off in the oil and gas industry. I didn't want to keep working offshore for multiple weeks at a time, especially wanted to start a family eventually, which I finally do. I have a
Mm.
wife and a 9-month-old daughter. She's beautiful, and amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, and I was thinking about, I was like, I love what I do, but I don't want to spend half my life working offshore. So
Mm-hmm.
it was between a moving company or a painting company. So I'm very happy that I picked painting because
Chose
I
the
don't know if you've
latter.
ever moved before, but it's not fun. So,
Yeah.
I started working offshore. I was taking jobs back home. So when I'd come back home, I would be working as well. So it's like I was nonstop, either working offshore or painting houses when I was back home until I was getting so busy that I had consistent work and I could step away from, working offshore.
Hmm. Cool. Yep. There's nothing like being a little bit uncomfortable that'll help you to find the answer really quickly into what you want to be doing, right? I mean,
Yes.
everybody has to start somewhere, but if you have that bigger vision in mind of how you want your lifestyle to be, I
Hmm.
think that's where so many people should start their entrepreneurial place from. It's not always that cut and dry, it's not always that perfect or simple, but I think
Hmm.
it is a great motivator to say, what do I want? Like how do I actually want to make money? How do I want to build my life? How do I want to have a family?
Correct.
Because I think even your awareness of it's this or this, like obviously there's way more options for you,
Hmm.
but even just knowing in your wheelhouse what you felt like the next right step would be, and then easily being able to say, lifestyle wise, and the way I want to be using my time, my energy, it's not in moving. So let me lean into something that I'm a little bit more excited about. So
Right.
very, very cool.
Absolutely.
So when you first started painting homes during your time off from the offshore work, what was your initial business model like? Were you doing everything yourself? What did that look like in the beginning?
Yeah, I did. I did everything myself. So I worked before working offshore. I worked for a contractor and we just did various things, but one of the things that I did was just painting, cutting in drywall, and I loved it. I put some headphones on. It like was I had ADHD. It gave me something to really concentrate on and just listen to some music. And then at the end it was the feeling of just seeing what you created was just amazing. So I fell in love with it. But when I first started and I bought my paint sprayer and I never painted an exterior of a house, but my first job that I actually landed was an exterior. And I had to paint that by myself. And I had
Mm,
to use a machine that I've never used before. And I did that because I started watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos, reading a bunch of books. Obviously made mistakes in the beginning. Did things that I found out later was there's way easier ways to do it. But that just took time. But yeah, at the beginning, I was painting the houses by myself. Wasn't moving super quick,
mm-hmm.
but as I gained experience, I and started getting busier, I hired somebody, taught them how to paint, and then me and him, he was actually one of my really good friends, and still is to this day. And we painted for about like 2, 3 years before I was getting so much more leads that I was able to step back and do the estimates, write it up, and then contract them to do the work.
Mm.
Yeah,
So your
but at first it
initial,
was definitely
yeah,
just me.
just
Yeah,
you learning all the pieces of the business, like how to
yeah,
close the contracts, how to pitch the job, all of the
yeah,
things. Just like that's the best way to learn, though.
yeah.
And I think a lot of times that's why we have this podcast is we want to
Right.
learn business and then go do business. And there's no better
Hmm.
way to learn than to just do. And And it's nice when it starts out small and you don't have that huge pressure. And I think even sometimes entrepreneurs step into it wanting the big empire. And
Right.
one of the biggest disservices we can have to our dreams is our dreams, right? Like
Yeah.
they can kind of get in the way of just taking that first right step. So you mentioned you hired your friend, who I'm grateful to hear is still your friend, because sometimes in business that's not always the case, the way the story
Yes.
ends. Um,
I've heard a lot of horror stories. I treat my my workers like my
mm,
family, and I don't get angry with them. I don't yell at them. I make
good.
sure that they're doing their work, and I feel like ever since I started my company, I have a very good relationship with all of my guys,
That's
and we
amazing.
try to keep that. You don't want to be that a-hole boss. Nobody wants to work for that guy, They're not going to wake up and be like, hey, I'm gonna go put 100% in for this guy that's yelling at me every single day, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So, just want to make sure that you're being nice to your people, but also you got to make sure that they're not taking advantage of you. Because I have
Mm-hmm.
been, taken advantage of before, and you got to, from a business standpoint, say, hey, man, you can't do that. That's it. You're gone, or something's got to happen differently, or
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna be gone.
Yeah. Well, you bring up a really funny point, because a lot of us entrepreneurs go into business for ourselves because we don't like working for other people, but then we become the people that nobody wants to work for if we're not careful and we're not intentional, right? Like,
Mm,
so
yeah,
there does have to be some consideration given to the type of boss you want to be. And I don't think you have that all figured out from the get-go. Obviously, you're just kind of figuring it out as you go, and you know what your
nobody
values
does.
are, and it sounds like you've known yours.
Mm,
But even like back to that point, you hired a friend and you taught him how to paint. At what
mm,
point was it like, I'm not even going to have to hire people I have to train? I mean, obviously there's some on
hmm
the job training,
yeah.
but when you said hiring contractors, what did that next phase of business look like, to where you're like, I'm just going to bring people who already know how to do this thing?
Yes. So, I also did emergency roof tarping because I did
Mm,
restoration work a little bit before I worked offshore. And one thing that I was really good at was tarping roofs. My tarps never fell off, like knew how to do it. And there's decent money in it. So and I'm in Florida, so we have hurricanes, we have storm damage. So I was actually in Fort Myers after the Hurricane Irma,
mm,
and this is the first time that I hired on a contractor, and I was pushing off a bunch of my painting jobs because I was trying to help people out down there and get their houses back because
yeah.
their roofs were just completely gone into their neighbor's yard. And a gentleman called me and he was like, "Hey, I got flood damage," and he was in like West Palm Beach, and he's like, "I want to move." So my house flooded. I was renting. I think he was renting. Or actually, maybe yeah, I think he was renting there. He's like, "So, like, we have to move. Like, there's mold everywhere.
Mm,
I want to move to Orlando. I'm looking. I'm a painter. I'm looking for somebody to work with." So I was like, "Perfect." I was like, worried because you're going out and putting somebody on that you don't really know. We didn't even really do an interview, but I heard him over the phone. He sounded very professional, knowledgeable, like he had good customer service skills. You could just, how you can talk to somebody, you can know like if
mm-hmm.
they're gonna be good to talk to customers or not. So I was like, yeah, let's do it, and I gave him a job that me and like two of my guys, it would have taken us a week to do, and he calls me in like 2.5 days and says, "We're done."
Wow.
I was like, "Wait, what?" And I thought I was fast because when I worked, it wasn't like I was going there and messing around. Like,
Yeah.
and even my guys knew, like, if I was on a roll, like, we're working today, like, we're going boom, 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 nonstop. Oh, get this ladder, get this, come on, grab this, grab this. So I thought I was like one of the fastest painters. No, there's definitely levels compared to someone that just started and somebody that's been painting for 20 years,
Yeah.
So, and I was like, in my head, I was like, oh man, what do you mean you're done already? Like, the house has to be messed up. Like, you just sprayed and go, no, perfect. Um, customer loved them. So, found a really good guy. After that, that was kind of hiring people on. That was kind of what I was looking for. You want to look for, especially the ones that are going to run the crew, the people that are going
Mm-hmm.
to run the crew. You want to look for what I call diamond in the roughs. Like you need. a diamond in the rough running every single one of your crews,
Mm.
and making sure that they're doing good work. But that's when I transitioned from really doing the work myself to subcontracting my work. So
Mm.
I'll get the jobs. I will go out. I will meet the customers. I will deal with client relations. I will write up the estimates. I'll do the follow-ups. I will talk to them, put the jobs on the calendar, do any updates to the estimates throughout the projects, and make sure if there's any issues that I'm there. I'm making sure that, there's communication between me, the customer, and the crew. And then yeah, that's pretty much how we do it now. And I
Mm.
have about six different crews now.
That's amazing.
Hmm.
So I want to kind of talk about that little transition point because there's some really good valuable lessons for people to
Hmm.
understand there. Where you recognizing, hey, I thought I was fast, and there's just something that you can't replace when you have somebody
Yes.
who's done this for far longer. And somebody
Hmm.
could have looked at that as like, oh, that's a threat. I need to become a better painter. I need to up my game.
Hmm.
You did what a very smart CEO does and says, I need to hire people better than me who have
Hmm.
the chops, who can do a
That's
really
it.
great job because
Hmm.
now I can turn a much higher profit. I have people who
And
are quicker, more skilled.
yes, exactly. On that note, I have a very, very good story. It
Let's
was
hear it.
this is my first Sherwin-Williams rep. And he sat me down, and we're opening up my Sherwin-Williams account, and I'm like picking his brain because I'm new, and I'm like, I don't know, like, what's going on. And he tells me, Josh, listen, I see painters all the time. I was asking him like, how do I get work? How do I stay busy? Like, and all this. He's like, I see painters all the time, amazing painters, but they're never busy because they're
Mm,
not businessmen. I see businessmen, they're crappy painters, but they hire the good painters, but they're really good businessmen. Those are
mm,
the people that can really go far. If you can be a good businessman and a good painter, I mean, obviously, I was a good painter. I was a slow painter, but I was very precision and detail orientated, and I made sure that it was perfect. So,
mm.
yes, I would say that I'm as good as all these other people because I make sure everything's flawless, but it might take me twice as long. So, as long
Yeah.
as you're a good painter and a good businessman at first, even if you go slow, then you can at least build that reputation. So to a point where you're getting all of these jobs, all these leads in, so you can step back and be that businessman you want to be and hire the good painters and have them do the work for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we could do a whole episode on just like acquiring that skill. I think there's nothing that replaces the value of just going and selling a service and becoming better and
Hmm.
better at the service.
Right.
You kind of like leveled up very quickly into recognizing, well, my skill set, the thing I'd
Hmm.
actually really love to do is the business. And I can see that I can bring on people who have the
Hmm.
talent, have the skill. I at least know. I think that's a
Hmm.
missing piece too. You can't have like you have to know what a good job looks like. You have to have
Yep.
done the job. Not all the
Correct.
time. I think it depends on the industry, but I
Hmm.
think that was really valuable and helpful for you to understand, not going into it blindly and saying, I know what a good paint job looks like. I know what my
Yes.
standard is and what I want to be providing to customers. So for you, like where you went into this, did you always have it in the back of your mind to own a company, or was it kind of something that fell into your lap as you recognized there's an opportunity for me to become more of a CEO role and bring in people?
So, I mean, from the beginning, I wanted to build it.
Mm,
I will say I got really lucky. Um, I got really lucky because I started my company and right when Google became like a thing for Google reviews and Google My Business, right?
mm,
So I got on the Google My Business as soon as it was opened. And I remember looking and I had like 12 to 14 reviews. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I have the most reviews in Orlando, you know? And I only had 14, but nobody else had that many reviews,
yeah.
because I jumped on it immediately.
Mm,
So that was that so that really helped me with achieving and being top dog on top of Google for all those years. And I made sure that I followed up with that and kept with the reviews. And I knew that one day that platform was going to be the number one platform for Google for people looking for painters.
mm.
And
Smart.
ever since then, we've been number one, and that's how we get most of our organic leads from.
Yeah. So you kind of just had it, like you knew in your brain, you were thinking a little differently. Some people just start with like, oh, I'll have a side hustle. I could be a painter. I'm
Right.
decent with a paintbrush. You had a bigger picture. You didn't know all the steps that were going to get you there, but you were open enough to be seeing there's opportunity here. This is something I should probably capitalize on, dive
Mm-hmm.
into. So you've been
Correct.
thinking like a CEO from day one, which is really
Yeah.
important.
Yep. Yep.
So your transition from like hiring that initial friend and then hiring the first
Mm-hmm.
contractor, you're just kind of figuring it out as you go. It's just the
Yeah.
first time. Probably didn't have a lot of systems. At this
Mm-hmm.
point, do you feel like you have systems and processes that are like non-negotiables in your business when you're hiring because you have so many employees you're
Mm-hmm.
bringing on? What
Yes.
would you say to somebody who's wanting to do what you do? How do they systematize that?
So you have to wait, obviously, until you have work where you can do that, and you have
Mhm.
to know when the right time to do it is. A good thing about and there could be a pay cut, you know what I mean? Especially at the beginning, because say you hire on a crew and they're doing jobs faster than you can put them on. Well, one, that's going to be kind of bad because they don't want to stay with you and work solely
Mm.
for you if you can't keep them busy. But it also gives you time where you can go out and in the field and market for yourself a little bit better.
Mm.
I remember when I was first starting, I was stopping if I saw a realtor, if I saw a plumber, it doesn't matter who it was. If I saw workers, I'd stop and I'd give my business card.
Mm.
Going to networking events and stuff like that. Um, it it's you have to really judge it by how much work you're getting because obviously you can't just open a company and say I'm going to subcontract and you have no work coming in because you're
Mhm.
not going to keep the subcontractors.
Yeah.
So who really you have to just build it up until it's ready and I feel like at least for me I just knew when it was ready and when it was
Mm.
time. It kind of just happened and fell in my lap when I was like I said, when I was, dealing with that hurricane, and then we were backed up on jobs, and then Wagner just called me and he said, "Hey, you need some work," and it just worked out perfectly, and I was able to
Mhm.
transition pretty smoothly. And now since we're even busier, I was able to hire on another crew and another one and another one. And I only hire on when another crew when I have enough work already for the other ones because I don't want
Mm.
to hire on more people and then they're not busy anymore and I can't keep them consistently busy and then they leave.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep, demand based for sure. So
Mhm.
even in like bringing on people, what's kind of the process of hiring a great employee? Is there like a trial period? Because I think
Mhm.
sometimes this is really scary for business
It
owners
is.
to give a little more control. And now at this
Mhm.
point, you've duplicated yourself multiple times over. So what's your
Yeah.
process for hiring, bringing people into the company?
Yeah, so definitely for me it's a little bit easier personally because of how I have it structured is I have crews where I hire the crew leader. They're not all employees. I have a crew leader that makes a percentage. He's a subcontractor and he has all of his guys.
Mm,
So I hire him personally and then he hires all of his guys.
got it.
Um, you have to find the good subcontractors. You have to find the people that really care about quality, about the customer, about doing a good job. I've rifled through a couple. I've had some that I've started and then I was getting customer complaints immediately and then so boom, you're gone. I can't have customer complaints. That's
Mm-hmm.
meaning that you're not doing a good job. You're not doing what you're supposed to. I can't have customers calling me saying, "Hey, they said they were going to be here at 9. It's 11 o'clock. Where are they?" No phone call, no so boom, gone. Okay, another one comes in, we have a problem, boom, gone. And now it's to the point where I have all my guys, and they've been with me for a very long time because I've found the diamond in the roughs. And once
Mm-hmm.
you find the diamond in the rough, you make sure you keep them and you treat them good. You treat them like family, and you make sure they're happy all the time. And you keep them busy and keep them getting paid and that's another thing. Make sure you're paying your guys. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
e- Even if you got a payroll, and it's gonna take you about 4 hours to go through all the jobs that you owe them on at the end of the week. they need to get paid. You don't pay them, they're going to be upset. They're going to leave. They're going to go work for somebody else that does pay them on time.
Mm-hmm.
And don't take on too much work if you don't have the capital to front some money, because sometimes, especially on commercials, they're net 30.
Yeah.
Don't take on those jobs if they're not going to give you a deposit and you don't have the capital to pay your guys and front that money,
Mm.
because then your guys are going to get upset and not want to work with you.
Yeah. Good to know.
Mhm.
So, do you have any other like project management approaches, or how do you coordinate all of these jobs? Any softwares you use? Any
Yeah.
recommendations you have with just getting into the nitty gritty of managing people?
Yeah, so we've transitioned. I did hire on a project manager, because now we're doing about 150. I think our average is like 156 estimates a month,
Wow.
so every 30 days. So I hired on an estimator, and since he came on, which has been a little bit over a year now, or yeah, about a little bit over a year now, um, we switched from we were using Joist before, and now we're using Jobber. So it's a software program for leads, estimates. You can consolidate. It even has a program that they can put on your website that people fill out, and then it goes straight into the Jobber platform. Unlike Joist, where I was using before, Joist is super simple and super easy. I used that for 8 or 9 years, since I started the company. I love it. It
Mm-hmm.
was very good. It's just it doesn't have as many features as what we need now, that
Mm.
Jobber does. Um, the Jobber has requests that you can convert into quotes, that you can convert into invoices, and then I have everybody else also an iCloud calendar. So not only do we put it on the Jobber app calendar, but we also put it on the calendar. There's also automatic follow-ups to customers that you can customize. So say we're doing 150 estimates, and we can't keep up with following up with customers, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's automatic. Once you send a quote, it's like 2 days later, automatically follows up and says, hey, just making sure you got the quote, see if you have any questions. And then from there, when somebody approves it, then we can ask them when they want to get scheduled, and then just schedule it right onto the iCloud calendar. And every single crew leader has access to their calendar only, and me and Bill, my lead estimator, we have access to all of theirs, so we can see
Mm.
all the jobs that are going on for all of the crews, and the crews can also see the jobs that they're doing this week, next week, the following week. You know, and a big thing is implementing big roles to your crew leader as well. That can help you not have to do those roles, so you can focus on getting more jobs in, such as making sure that they know that they 100% have to give customers a phone call the day before to introduce them, make sure they know what time they're going to be there to do a walkthrough, to oversee and kind of start managing that project from the time that they start. Our job
Mm.
is to get the jobs, put it on the calendar, of course, oversee if there's a problem, but you should have people in the like your subcontractors, you should have the people that can also have good customer relationship and have them reaching out for any problems throughout, especially because the ones that are going to be on site. At the end, also, our guys can have access to the jobs, and then they can change it if the customer adds anything. They know what our prices are, so they can add, if there's a drywall patch, they can add a drywall patch, and then they can also send the invoice over to them,
Mm.
and collect payment, and note that they collected payment from the customer, which is another step that helps us be able to do our jobs in the marketing, the customer initial first customer contact, getting the quotes, getting the estimates, building that relationship with the customer so we can keep them busy.
Amazing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Can you imagine running this business without technology having some kind of a platform that can manage all of that?
I always think, like, I'm like, how did big corporations just like Wells Fargo, like, they had a post office. There's no phones. Like,
I
how
know it's
how how
mind
how did
blowing.
how did things get built? How did New York City get built when, you wrote a letter and said, "Hey, be at work at this." I don't know. Like it's insane. I don't know how
Telegram,
they did
yeah.
it. Brilliant minds. Some brilliant minds.
Yeah.
That's above my pay grade. I'll stick to painting
I mean,
with
I wouldn't
with
agree with that.
technology.
That's not above your pay grade. Because hearing what you were just saying, like understanding to manage a team, to manage a company, you have to think differently. And hearing just the
Mm,
ways you've incorporated that you're using the platform, and not even just the platform as a solution, but your intention to have the team members, to have not just you managing or having the upper level and this disconnect, but like them knowing more than just the job, knowing more than just how to paint, and making sure that they're taking responsibility for the customer management at a certain level. Like, that's a big deal that I think a lot of people listening who might have a service based business have not
hmm
considered is how can we use the tech and make sure that it's adapted at all levels of the business and not just
hmm
the high level
It's
management.
it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
And you have to stay up on it. I mean, let's take for example ChatGPT. I don't know if you use that. That
Oh, yeah.
is
Every day.
the biggest and best business like device that you can use. I mean, I talk to it, and when I'm at my estimates, I just say, hey,
Mm,
follow my notes. Okay, there's 10 doors. This room we're doing crown molding in. The linear foot is like 44 linear foot. Bedroom number
wow.
two, my laser just boom, and I can just speak to it and go do all of my estimates. So I'm not like laser, get the open up the book, bedroom number one, okay, put the book away, laser, or use the measure wheel and then have to put that down and open up the book and go back. And it organizes everything. Then when you get back, copy and paste. And just even responses to emails, some
Mm-hmm.
even text, especially if it's like a commercial, job and you want to sound super professional. I mean, my past emails, trust me, they're professional, but it's just incredible what ChatGPT can do.
Yeah.
And I use it on a daily basis. A lot of people, they frown upon it and they diss on it. I'm sorry, that's crazy that people think that way because it is the biggest tool right now that me and my company use is
Hmm.
ChatGPT, and it simplifies everything and makes everything so simple and saves so much time.
Mm-hmm.
Saves so much time.
I love hearing your use case for it. Like, just follow my notes and keep track of what I'm saying instead of. I think even that is like a level up to how a lot of people use AI, use ChatGPT specifically, is
Yeah.
they'll still do everything manually and then just plug it in and to
hmm
hear use it integrated. Like, think about
hmm
what can we replace from our mental load and extra time that we'd have to spend to
hmm
track this all down. And then it has that data stored. You don't have to go looking for it. Like,
hmm
we're past
You
the
know
notes
it's
app in our phone.
you know
We have
what's
this
really
robot.
impressive. What's really impressive is when you have like a conference call with like some big corporation or whatever that you're painting, or a big commercial project, and you record it, the entire thing, and it will take. And then as soon as the conversation is done, even if it's 30 minutes, you just click enter, and it just gives you a whole list of all the notes, line by line, all the notes, who said what, who said like, and it's all right there. And then you just send it to them and say, hey, this is, or organize it what you want in there and what you don't want in there, and say, hey, this is just a recap of what we discussed about. Let me know if there's
Wow.
any problems or if anybody has anything additional, and then they can just see everything's right there. And it's perfect.
Wow.
Yep.
Where are you doing that? Like, I'm kind of curious about this little nuanced detail. When you say record, are you talking like you've recorded a Zoom call, a phone call,
So
ChatGPT will
so
record?
so this right here is
Uh-huh.
a microphone, and I can just go to chatgpt.com, and I have the subscription where I can have it on my phone. So I can have it on my phone, and then when I get to the house, I just go on the internet and put in ChatGPT, and my account loads up, and everything that I was doing, like all the estimates I was doing out in the field, is already there.
Mm.
But like, yeah, I'll just put my phone down. If I'm in the office, I'll put my phone down, and then I will just turn on the voice record for ChatGPT and just put my phone right there and just have a conversation. And then afterwards, just click and it revises everything and organizes everything that was said. It's
Oh
pretty,
my
it's pretty neat.
gosh.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Oh, and I thought I was super smart with how I mean, I'm probably using it in ways people would like it would hurt their brains,
I
but that's pretty powerful. Just it
I mean for
seems
everything.
common.
Yeah, I mean even for like gyms, like hey, I need a 30-minute gym workout, like full body gym workout. Boom, I need hey is supplements. Hey, should I take this supplement with this supplement or anything? Like if I'm
Hmm.
curious about was the moon landing real? No, I'm just kidding. But
It was totally real. They just filmed it for backup, right?
yeah, exactly. We had to win that race.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. No, I love it. I love hearing. I've done it for the gym workouts. I've done it for recipe plan. It's crazy. Like we're gonna
Oh,
even 3 months from now, this conversation will seem so beginner
yes.
to introduce ways to use it. But I love hearing how you are integrating technology in ways that, because you have a business that's always going to need people to a certain extent,
Hmm.
right? Like this is
Oh
a
yeah.
service, and all you're doing is making the service better by alleviating some of the mental energy that needs to go into the management of the business, the people themselves, streamlining processes. Like that's, I think, one of your competitive edges nowadays in having a business. If you're still stuck in a generation or a time where you're not even using a CRM, you're not even like managing everything digitally, you're going to fall behind. But now we have this new level where
Hmm.
your ability to serve, be professional, all the things that used to be insecurities maybe for any CEO, it's like I can plug this in and I can use AI to help me
Hmm.
act like a different level of business owner, and you're learning in the process, saving time. It's just so cool. I love it. I nerd out
It's
over AI.
I love it. Yeah, me and you are the same. And like you said, recipes. Yes, I have used recipes, and they are follow the directions. They are fire recipes. I
Yeah.
love
Yep.
cooking.
Okay, let's get back on task here because we
Okay.
could talk about that for half an hour. Customer acquisition, you mentioned you really hit on the Google ratings and getting business that way. And now that you've freed up more of your time to where you are just out there prospecting and you're able to bring in clients, what are some ways that have really worked for you that you would recommend to other people? There's nothing that can kind of replace like the power of networking and some of those
Hmm.
things that people don't want to do. But
Yeah.
are there any other things that you would say in terms of marketing a service-based business that you'd recommend?
So, I mean, this is just from me speaking. Um, and not every industry has it. It kind of is. It's kind of BS that it. I'm not happy with it. But we used to get all of our work. I mean, we still get all of our work from Google, but we used to get all of our work and all of our jobs organically without having to pay anything because we were ranked number one. We did all of these jobs. Customers raved about us. We had our worked on our SEO ever since I started the company, and we just did really good work, and our reputation was the best. Um, then they came out with Google Guaranteed. Do you know what Google
Mm,
Guaranteed is?
I don't.
So Google Guaranteed, and uh, it started about a little bit over a year ago, like last January or something like that, in 2024. And I knew it was coming out, and I was like, oh man, this is going to really suck. So now anybody can Google painters near me, and there's a whole section, and
Hmm.
says Google Guaranteed, and it has all these people with a Google Guaranteed badge. They don't really do. They say they do a background check and everything. All they do is just ask, see if you have license and insurance, and if you're on the Sunbiz. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much all they verify, and then you can pay them, and then they everybody gets to put in like how much they want to spend a week, and then there you are right there up at the top with a Google Guaranteed badge. And it's a whole section. So people have to really scroll down past all of that to go down to what used to be, and then we will be. Um, and now we have to pay for all these leads. And I
Mm.
know you're gonna think this is crazy, but I mean, I'm paying like $1,600 a week
Wow.
to get as many leads as I used to get from just having a good reputation.
Hmm.
And I won't say names of other companies, but me and this other company, we were like neck and neck, like all the time, and I'd always be like before Google Guaranteed, and I'd always be looking at them, and I'm like, oh man. like they got only 20 less reviews than us. They're catching up. We got to stay neck and neck, you know? So I'd always try to get more reviews and then they'd get closer and then we'd always stay on top of them, you know what I mean? A little bit, but they were like always right there with us with reviews. So I knew they were getting so much work, so much work. Well, I contacted him because we had an issue where we had to get this guy off of Google because he was getting like 90 five-star reviews in uh 1 month. And then he
Mm.
went from having no reviews to like in 6 months having like 400 five-star reviews. And finally getting them off, and that took a while, and we had to plead to Google and stuff. But yeah, very shady, and they will kick you off if you do that, and you will get fined, and
Hmm.
you potentially will even go to jail. And you'll each review they can actually sue you for up to like $10,000. So
Wow.
I don't know exactly what's going to happen with them, but I mean, it's really shady business practice to do that. But anyways, I touched base with them and we were trying to like say, hey, we need to get this guy off, whatever. Um, and he's like, Josh, what happened this year? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, "You- were you busy?" And I was like, yeah, we were slammed. I was like, were you guys not busy? He's like, no, this year something happened and I don't know what it is, but we have less than half jobs than we've ever done before in any of the years. I was like, well, did you get on Google Guaranteed? He's like, what's that? And I was
Hmm.
like, that's the reason why your reputable business that is the same tier as my business is getting like, he's like, I think got like 35% of the jobs that we normally get. Like leads,
Wow.
no, and I'm like, yeah, that's because now it's not about that. It's like, it's about how much are you willing to pay to get these leads?
Hmm.
So, which is kind of just ruining the industry, to be honest. But that's pretty much where all my marketing, going back to the marketing, I never used to have to
Yeah.
do marketing, but now that's where my marketing budget goes.
Are you looking at other ways to pivot and like explore other ways to market outside of just that, kind of knowing it's broken a little bit?
hmm
Like if it's still working, obviously you can still afford it, but are you
Yeah.
looking at other avenues
It's
so that you
just that
can
now
cut
we
that?
have to do so many more jobs. So I have
Mm.
to hire on, that's why I had to hire on Bill and then put my budget up high so we can get on so many jobs just to make what we used to make doing half of the work, because
Mm.
I have to pay he 1600 $1,700. I think last month it was like 6,800 or something like that I spent in Google ads. I mean,
Wow.
that's like almost $1 million home mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Yep.
oh
What are we
man,
doing?
yeah,
Hey, that's good to
but
know for the listeners, though. Like, right? I mean, you'd
it
probably
is.
recommend if you could go back in time to yourself to diversify that. Like, yes, you
Mm,
have your cash cow that's bringing in the leads, but
mhm.
you'd probably echo that sentiment, right? Like,
Yeah.
go continue to find other avenues that are bringing in the leads
hmm
so you're not
And what and
ever.
what's Yeah, and what sucks about that is the more people that do it, the higher that the lead
Mm,
price gets to. So right now we're at like I think I'm paying like $73 per lead. So
wow.
in a lot of them, they're not even like, well, one, you have to get the job. A lot of them are people looking for work.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh, I just paid $73 for somebody to ask me for a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of times it's just, hey, we got somebody that said, hey, can you cut if I bring you in some tile, can you cut it? We're like, or hey, we need the blinds hung. We just get a bunch of like those kind of leads a lot, and
Mm,
it's just like, oh man, because you just know
yeah.
that's just you see it come in, and you're like, yep, there's $70 gone, just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
But
Dang it.
yeah,
Well, that kind of brings up when you said people are asking for other things. Your company diversified beyond painting, right? Like you started offering other services. Is that
yes,
correct? What did
yes.
that transition look like? Why did that come about? Was it kind of just demand based or strategic on your end to say, let's add
Yeah.
more offers here?
Yeah. So once I started doing the once I started with Wagner when he came over, he said he did popcorn sealing. So we started offering popcorn sealing removal. And we weren't getting too many jobs because, customers are Googling popcorn removal near me, not a painter near me for
Mm-hmm.
popcorn removal. So I actually acquired a company called Orlando Popcorn Removers. They wanted to sell it, and I bought it from them. It was already kind of up and going, and I've had that for, multiple years now. And then boom, now I was getting all of these leads for popcorn. So I was like, okay, well, now let's do the same thing for crown molding. So we started Orlando Crown Molding Experts, and now we get leads for crown molding. And then I did the same thing for flooring because we started getting, I found a really good guy that does flooring. So I was like, why
Mm,
not offer flooring? So I have a really good flooring crew. I have actually a couple now. And I started Orlando Flooring Installation. Every single one has a website. Every single one has a Google page. Every single one has, 5-star reviews. And we do fence installation. So that was one of our latest ones that we started, is Orlando Fence Installation. Um, we've offered it for a very long time, and we have really
mm,
good people that do it. But now we actually have a company per se. They're all technically DBAs of a painter's touch.
mm,
So they're doing business as. So instead of making all of these and then having insurance for this guy, insurance for this one, insurance for this, it's all umbrellaed under a painter's touch as
mm.
the mother company.
Cool.
Um, and yes, and now we're doing house flips. We're doing basically we do everything except for HVAC, plumbing, and electrical.
Mm.
And yeah, we basically do almost full renovations.
That's amazing. So you just
Hmm.
kind of saw like it again, it just kind of not fell into your
Hmm.
lap, but you saw an opportunity there. There's this window open and you're like, "Hey, if I have this contractor, it wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily by demand. It was I have somebody who offers this skill and I know
Hmm.
how to turn skills
Hmm.
into a business. I found the system." So you're just kind of rinsing and
Hmm.
repeating and replicating and just
And
adding different services.
and everything leads to others. So
Mhm.
like for a while I was always getting asked, "Hey, do you do flooring?" And I was like, "No," but then I found a good subcontractor and he's been doing great work and customers love it. Like,
Mm.
we do great work. So I was like, instead of saying, "Hey, no," I would say, "Hey, yeah, we do flooring, let have my subcontractor come in." And then I created, and each one you have to create your own list of how much you're going to charge for carpet removal, how much you're going to charge for per linear foot for crown molding, how much you're going to, like, you have to know how much you're going to charge because you're the one that's going to go out there. Instead of saying every single time somebody wants a flooring, so you go out. I mean, I just today I was at a customer's house and they want drywall work, they want crown molding, they want flooring, they want tile work done, and painting. So I can't just bring one from each person. I need to know how to quote that. So I don't have
Mhm.
to have, when they ask, I can just quote it right then and there and take all the measurements. I don't have to have, my flooring guy come out, my drywall guy come out, like everybody come out. So you have to create a system where you're doing prices per square foot, per linear foot. You're paying your guys the percentage, and they know what you're charging because you've went over everything with them. So they're happy with their percentage of the job, no matter what, because you've quoted it,
Mm.
accordingly to the agreed terms with them.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah.
Cool. Amazing. I would have never even thought about that you're able to bring this all under one house, even though they're separate services. You
Hmm.
strategically built it from a marketing standpoint so more people can find the service. I love that, like
Hmm.
Orlando this, Orlando that. So you're high on the ranking.
Yeah.
Unfortunate for the Google the qualified or what is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. The
Whatever
Google
they did.
guaranteed.
The Google guaranteed, that's lame.
Yeah.
But still, I love hearing, like, I feel like if you've been that strategic in your approach of understanding how to bring a market to a service and optimize that in the best way possible, it's just one of those hurdles in entrepreneurship. You're going to find the next solution that's probably going
Hmm.
to make you way more money.
Hmm.
I think, as an entrepreneur, you can never rest on one strategy working. And so I have full
Hmm.
confidence that even though that might be a hurdle now, you're going to
Hmm.
find a solution that's going to make you industry leader in what you're doing
Hmm.
because you've done that at every single turn. So you're doing
If
all
you
the right
can
things.
exactly, if you can find the time to set up systems and make things, this is probably the biggest thing that I can tell people is simplify everything. You
Mm,
know, have cheat sheets for every single thing. We have a whole Excel in Microsoft Word cheat sheet for all of our prices. And then if we need to update it, we just update it and everybody can see it. Um, but how can I make this portion of my company run better? Okay, work on that, make it. You think of another idea, write it down because a lot of times people think of ideas and they're great ideas, and then
Mm-hmm.
days go on, and that idea just goes outside of your head,
Yeah.
the more that you can work on simplifying and setting up systems to make your company run like a fine-tuned machine, the quicker you're going to get to the finish line.
Mm.
You cannot be unorganized and think you're going to get ahead in any competition or any
Yeah.
industry. You have to be organized and you have to set up systems and things in place to make the company run smoothly, or you're just going to be busting your butt nonstop and you're going to be doing uh, things a lot slower and you're going to be getting
Mm-hmm.
to the finish line a lot later on than what you were anticipating or wanting.
Yeah. Wow, you have given us so much to think about. There's so many different pieces to this, and I appreciate you breaking down every stage of your journey as a
Hmm.
business owner. It gives a lot of our listeners the capacity to see all the different problems that are going to emerge at different places and how you find solutions to those and how you build something that goes beyond just like a one-to-one or one-to-many service into
Hmm.
scaling a full service business. So I appreciate you giving all of that insight. Where's the best place for people to connect with you? Like, do you have your own
Hmm.
social media? Do you have a place where you share this knowledge with other people on a regular basis?
So, no, I work too much. Um, no, I mean, I have an Instagram, but I think my last photo on there is from like 2015, like when I started my company, but I mean, Painter's Touch is on Instagram, so we have a business profile. We have business profiles on Facebook and Instagram for all of our Orlando flooring, the Painter's Touch, Orlando Crown, Orlando Popcorn. So you guys can follow us on there. Our website's www.painterstouchllc.com. And yeah, other than that,
Cool.
I try to stay away from social media because I just get trapped into scrolling and watching video after video, and then I'm
Yep.
like, wait, what am I doing? I got a work to be doing. So
Stick to
yeah, I try to stay
ChatGPT
off
and
that.
learning stuff and
That's
optimizing your business, right?
that's it. That's correct. Yep.
Cool. Well, thanks again so much for all that you've shared. It's been great chatting with you and
Of
giving all
course.
the insights to our listeners. We are so
Hmm.
grateful.
Oh, awesome. It was wonderful being on here. Thank you for having me.